Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Nakakwadash. Shalom to the hopefully elect out there. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video. This is going to be a quick video. I'm going to entitle it Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 in the KJV NKJV NLT NIV and ESV. These are 5 different versions of the scriptures. I may even go to the NET. So anyway, let's read it in the King James. For the Lord, the word there is Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Israel meaning the Israelites. So we know that this is not talking about them coming out of Babylon when the Medo-Persians or the Medes took over the Babylonian Empire. This is not talking about them coming out of that Babylonian Empire. It's talking about another Babylonian Empire, which is the U.S. and this system, this beast system, and set them in their own land. And this is yet to have happened. How do we know that? Because Israel at this particular at the time of the kingdom of Judah being in captivity under the Babylonians, the northern kingdom, the rest of the tribe, they were on the other side of the world and set them in their own land. And so this is getting ready to take place. And the strangers, and that right there is referring to Israelites, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So now I'm going to go to the NKJV, the New King James Version. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will still choose Israel and settle them in their own land. The strangers will be joined with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. Jacob also means all of Israel. That's why it says Jacob and then Israel, but then it says Jacob. So that's pretty close to the regular King James of 1611. Now we're in the NLT. But the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on the descendants of Jacob. We are the descendants of Jacob. The so-called Negroes, the so-called blacks, African American, West Indians, the so-called Haitians, and the rest of the indigenous tribes, because all the Latin tribes through Central and South America and the Americas, Gad and Reuben. When you go from Canada all the way down into Central America, down into South America, those are all the Israelites. All the tribes are there, and they're also scattered throughout the whole planet. It said he will choose Israel. Let me read that again. But Yahweh will have mercy on the descendants of Jacob. He will choose Israel as his special people once again. He will bring them back to settle once again in their own land, and people from many different nations, which are the Israelites, will come and join them there and unite with the people of Israel. The term unite means is defined as coming together as one, unite. So that's a two-way street. You can't unite with us if we don't want to unite with y'all, with you all. So what does it mean to unite? Come together. That means the the Israelite strangers in the King James Version of Isaiah 14:1, they're going to come to us and we're going to accept them. We're not going to accept the other nations. So when you read the King James Version of Isaiah 14:1, when it says strangers, it's clearly talking about Israelites. So let's go to another one, another version. Let's go to NIV. Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob once again. He will choose Israel, meaning the nation Israel, and will settle them in their own land. Foreigners, which are the Israelites scattered throughout the planet Earth, will join them and unite. There it goes again. Unite is a two-way street. You want to be with somebody, they got to accept you. So we know that the foreigners or the strangers are Israelites. The foreigners, Israelites, will join them and unite with the descendants of Jacob. The ESV, the English Standard Version, which so-called European white scholars say, if you're going to deal with any version of the Bible, deal with the English Standard Version. The restoration of Jacob. For Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob and will again choose Israel and will set them in their own land. And sojourners are not other nations. Sojourners are Israelites coming into the land that were raised outside of the land. Like I could give you a perfect example. The Alexandrian Israelites or the Alexandrian Jews, they would come. That was a big, a large group of Israelites coming outside of Israel to keep the Passover and keep the 3 days out of the year, which is what is it? Deuteronomy 16:16, 3 times in a year. So when you read in Acts, the 2nd chapter, that was during the time of the Pentecost, during the time of the Feast of Weeks, which about 2 months before that, you had the Passover. So guess what? The Alexandrian Israelites were there because they were foreigners. Now, then they would go back to Alexandria, Egypt. They'll go back to Egypt. Now, if you had an Alexandrian Israelite that wanted to stay in Israel, he would go to the seat, the leadership of Israel, and he would say, "Look, I want to live here now," and they would accommodate him by giving him a plot of land based upon the tribe that he's from. So sojourners in the ESV, the word in the KJV, excuse me, is strangers. It's not talking about other nations. High Priest Ariah and the 7 were wrong on this one. Will join with them and will attach themselves to the house of Jacob. So strangers in Isaiah 14:1 are Israelites, not other nations. Anyway, that's all I got to say. With that, I'm going to say shalom.